Today I'm here to talk about some interesting court cases that everyone needs to know about. As we all know, Indian judicial system is a treasury trove of amazing stories. Here are some of the most important and influential cases in Indian history. So let's start with the first case, State of Odisha versus Ram Bahadur Thapa. This happened in 1959. This is a bizarre one as Ram Bahadur Thapa was servant of one J.B. Chatterjee of Chatterjee Bros firm in Calcutta. They had come to Rasagobindpur, a village in Balasore district in Odisha, to purchase aeroscrap from an abandoned aerodrome outside the village. Because it was abandoned, the locals believed it was haunted. This piqued the curiosity of Chatterjee, who wanted to see the coast. At night, as they were making their way to aerodrome, they saw a flickering light within the premises, which, due to the strong wind, seemed to move. They thought it was Will-o'-the-Wisp. Thapa jumped into action as he unleashed his khurkiri to attack the ghost. Turns out there were local Adivasi women with a hurricane lantern who had gathered under a mahua tree to collect some flowers. Thapa indiscriminated hacking caused death of one Geli Majihani and injured two other women. The session court, however, acquitted Thapa, declaring that his actions were the result of stern belief in ghosts, and that is the moment Thapa believed that they were lawfully justified. So the another case we are going to talk about is Mathura rape case. This happened in 1972. This is one of the most important case in the country because the protest that followed the verdict forced some important changes in rape laws in India. Mathura, a young tribal woman, was raped by two constables within the premises of a Desai Ganj police station in Chandrapur district of Maharashtra. The session court judge found the accused not guilty. The reasoning behind this was, believe it or not, the Mathura was habituated to sexual intercourse. This, according to the judge, clearly implied that the sexual act in the police station was consensual. The amendments to the law that were forced by the protest got one thing right. Submission does not mean consent. The most famous case, that is Keshwanand Bharti versus State of Kerala. If there is one reason India can still call itself the world's largest democracy, it's this case. Swami Keshwanand Bharti ran a Hindu mutt in Ednare village in Kerala, but the state wanted to appropriate the land. Bharti, who was consulted by noted jurist Nana Bhoy Palkhiwala, filed a petition claiming that a religious institution had the right to run its business without government interference. The state evoked Article 31, which states no person shall be deprived of his property save by authority of law. A bench of 13 judges deliberated on the fact of the case and, through a narrow 7-6 majority, formulated a basic structure doctrine which put some restriction to how much a parliament can amend the constitutional law. In many ways, the judgment here is considered to be a big middle finger to the government under Indira Gandhi. Soon after, the emergency followed. Another case, that is Muhammad Ahmad Khan versus Shah Bano Begum. This happened in 1985. 62 years old mother of 5, Shah Bano Begum, was divorced by her husband Muhammad Ahmad Khan. She filed a criminal suit against him in the Supreme Court and claimed alimony, which was then granted to her. But Then the Islamic Orthodox protest the judgment, claiming the practice of granting alimony as anti-Islamic. The Congress government, which was in power back then, to the pressure and passed the Muslim Women Protection of Rights of Divorce Act 1986, which diluted the Supreme Court judgment and further denied destitute Muslim divorce the right of alimony from their ex-husbands. The case is regularly mentioned during talks of uniform civil code in the country. The last case that I am going to discuss is Bhaval case 1921 to 1946. It's still regarded as one of the India's weirdest identity cases. It mainly revolved around a possible impostor who claimed to be a prince of Bhaval estate, once which comprised over 2000 villages and was one of individual Bengal's largest zamindari estate. Ramendra, the second Kumar of the Bhaval estate, died in early 20th century, but there were rumors about him not being really dead. 10 years later, in 1921, a sannyasi who looked a lot like Ramendra was found mourning the street of Dhaka. For some reason, the former tenant and farmer of Ramendra vouched for this man and also supported his claim to the title. Almost everyone except Ramendra's widow, Giyavati, believed him. There was a long legal process involving two trials where both sides attempted to prove their claims. In the meantime, the new Ramendra also moved to Calcutta and where he was welcomed in the elite circle. He used to collect 1/3 of his estate revenue, which was his share. He used that money to support his lifestyle while also paying the legal fees of the case. In the end, in 1946, the court finally ruled in his favor, but soon after that he passed away due to a stroke he had suffered a couple of days earlier. Thank you, and I hope you liked it.